I'll do it live. I gotta fix you got a
You
giant
just
hole in your head. Giant hole in your head. And we're live. So take it away, Kadix.
Hello and welcome to the loading screen where Twitch streamers talk to you about gaming, game development, and everything you need to know. Today we have 30 and Still Gaming, One Got It Going from Say No to Rage, and Reaper X357. And let's kick this off. First topic is very general game development. How do you guys feel about it? We'll start with 30.
Okay, that's a very generalistic topic there. When you say game developing, are you saying like the pros and cons of it? Are you
I,
asking?
I'm talking about length of time for games to come from concept to console.
Okay, so you're asking the question of like when Fallout 4 is being 5 years in development when it comes out. Am I happy with the time they've spent on it? Is stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Time they spent on compared to product you receive.
Okay, so ask the question one more time. I'm good now.
Okay. For game development, how do you like your games? Do you like them with longer development times and more placed in? Or do you like them shorter dev times so you get the content faster, but DLCs and patches afterwards?
I don't like what perfect example, Assassin's Creed Unity, right? They push those out every year. Well, not Unity every year, but Assassin's Creed every year. So they're constantly working on Assassin's Creed, the next Assassin's Creed, while the other one's out. And when Unity just sucked so bad with glitches and stuff, and then they dropped, I think it was like an 18 gig. No, I'm sorry, it was even bigger than that. It was like a 40 gig, like DLC, which was to fix the original game they were making. I don't like when they do that. I like games that take their time, like Fallout. You know, the last Fallout came out like 4 years ago. Like a Skyrim took 3 4 years to make, and then they released it, and then they add better stuff to it and little bug fixes as you play the game. Right, where Unity was just broke, and now it's
Yeah.
tainted. It's tainted the Assassin's Creed name, and now Syndicate's coming out, and we're going to be wondering, is it going to be plagued with the same type of stuff? But the problem with development now is the graphics are so high intense. I mean, look at the beta for Star Wars that just came out, right? I mean, it looked beautiful. I don't care what you played it on. If you played it on the PC, if you played it on it was 1080p or 1400p actually on the PC. It was 900p on the PS4 and 720p on the X. That's the brains of the whole operation. So there's my 2 cents.
Okay. One up.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now development is in a transitional phase because there's a rise of indie titles and there's also the decline of profitability for AAA titles. And so I've suggested in the past that I think bigger AAA titles need to shoot for kind of maybe even piecemealing their games. And I know a lot of people are really hesitant of that. They think that, they think Destiny failed in that regard. Like it was like, oh, it was so piecemeal, it was so small, and it cost too much money. But when I say piecemeal, I mean, imagine if you were to buy Assassin's Creed in 4 different chapters. And so when you first buy the game, it's, $30 or something like that. And it's not a ton of content. It's maybe a 6 or 7 hours worth of a campaign, and then you make them more episodic so that they're able to maybe trim down on the development time so that the content is trickled out, and that gives developers time for troubleshooting, debugging, fixing, and patches. Then those fixes and patches can then, sort of retroactively fix the content that's coming and on the way, as opposed to launching this big massive title and then it's like, well, it's like this spider web of problems, and finding them all and fixing them all is very challenging. So I'm not a developer, though. I don't know if that suggestion's even feasible, but I think publishers might be a little bit more in line with that, because the marketing and the publishing costs for something smaller like that would cost less, and it would make up for the fact that their profit margins might be a little bit smaller, because you're selling something for far less. You're not selling a $60 game. And also, they're always trying to do the upsell. They're always trying to do the season passes and the DLCs out of the gate before you've even touched the game. So I think that's a potential solution. Another potential solution, we may already be in that solution with the rise of closed and open alphas and betas. I've never seen this many alphas and betas, especially in the console realm. I mean, on the PC realm, it's a little more commonplace, but in the console world, this is a whole new phenomenon right now. Like, I'm getting emails left and right for Battleborn, for Rainbow Six Siege, for Fable Legends. Every single game seems to be saying, look, we have got to test, because I think that the shrunken profitability has made publishers very, not just risk averse, but very worried that their investment's going to not return a big ROI. And I think that's good for gamers, but I think it's probably a little more daunting for developers, because you can't, that's why you have to sign these very stiff what is it? DNAs or
NDAs,
NDAs.
Non-disclosed, yeah, DNAs, non-disclosed agreements. Those are real strict. And I mean, I wrote about that recently. I said, look, these are frustrating, but it's encouraging. It's encouraging because they know the power of the gaming world right now, in that Twitch streaming and YouTube, you cannot have your content looking crappy before it's even for sale, because all it takes is a big streamer like T-Rex, or somebody big like Broman or somebody, Gothalion, and be like, yeah, I played it for a little bit, it sucks. And then you've got this massive PR problem, because millions of people, not just the thousands watching live, but it's going to spread like wildfire. And so the gamers have far more power now, and I think that's going to affect development in a positive way. So Christmas next year, we may have come through an entire year of betas and alpha tests, and hopefully that means then fourth quarter, where a lot of the bigger games drop, we're getting far more polished and pristine launches, and then hopefully that sets the stage for big AAA titles to have more success and profitability, but also to increase the rise in new IPs, so we don't just keep getting rehashed content like Call of Duties and stuff that they know are there, it's a for sure sell, and we get more new IPs. I think that's going to be cool. But I also think, I mentioned it in the beginning, indie titles, we're going to see much more of those. We already are seeing a rise in those, and I think that's great. I think that can lighten the load a little bit. Oh, I got to have a new game. And you wait and wait and wait. And I think that's one of the reasons games can be so disappointing, is because you're just sort of, there's these droughts, and then a big game comes out and you rip through it like an insane person. And you're like, well, 12-hour campaign, I blew through it. It's, that sucks. Indie titles, I think, can meet that pain point for gamers. Also, it can throw a lot of creativity and innovation into the gaming world that then gets picked up by the bigger titles and development companies. So those are my off the cuff thoughts on development.
Okay, Reaper.
Well, I've been playing with a few games here and there, and I gotta agree with what Lono's saying to an extent, where the AAA title makers, they need to take a step back and look at what the indie developers are doing, because the indie guys, they're getting it right. I mean, you compare, say, Outlast, for example. It's a good indie title. I mean, it takes you around 4 days is the average time, and it's a pretty short game. but 4 days for an indie title, whereas you compare it to something like Assassin's Creed. Okay, I blew through that in about 12 hours, and that was a AAA title that cost $60, $60, and was developed on for about a year and a half to 2 years. Whereas Outlast only took them 6 months, but they actually worked on everything piece by piece instead of just copy and pasting. So I think they need to step back a little bit, take some more time in their development, as well as stop using the same engines that every other company's been using for the last 10, 15 years, like that Frostbite engine, Frostbite 2.
Well, my thoughts on it is along the lines of One Got Gun, 3 and Still Gaming. The problem is that AAA titles are becoming massively unstable. And we saw this really with Assassin's Creed Unity. The hype train was rolling full steam for Unity. Everybody was looking forward to the title, and it completely bombed. I think that's why we're getting a lot more alphas and a lot more betas right now, because they want to stress test their servers, and they also want to see if they find bugs and glitches inside the game. Tony Hawk 5 was a complete failure. It's already been deemed a complete failure, and it's been on store shelves less than a month.
Didn't even know it was out.
Exactly.
I didn't even know.
I saw somebody Twitch stream it. I saw Brown Man Twitch stream it, actually, and he played it for all of 45 minutes, and I'm like, this is complete garbage. The game has been broken since beta, and they released it without fixing a thing. It's showing you that Twitch streaming, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of the social medias that we use, and gamers are on social media. About 80 or 85% of gamers use some kind of social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or what have you. And it takes 10 seconds to write something on those platforms. Whether the game is complete garbage, it's broken, it's glitchy, it doesn't take long to get your opinion out there. Brown Man can throw something on Twitter, and it's read by 10,000 people before the hour's up. I mean, that's just the way it is. So AAA titles are getting called out on broken games and broken sections of games. I believe they need to shorten their games. They need to shorten their price point and work on core mechanics of games: storytelling, physics, graphics, and engine. That's your four main food categories in a game.
Look at Mass Effect 3, right? Mass Effect 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Storytelling, gameplay, they just got everything right with that game. Then they came out with Mass Effect 3, and the story was good, but the ending blew ass, right?
And the reason for that is Mass Effect 1 and 2 started with the story first.
Right.
They never really anticipated Mass Effect 3, but since the title and the franchise was so
right, and that's
so popular.
But that's why games AAA titles have so basically indie titles are like hipsters, right? Hipsters like their small coffee joints. They don't like to go to Starbucks because Starbucks is a AAA title, okay? And they like to give their money to the small guys, where there's no expectation on the small developer, right? They can create a game, and I'm playing devil's advocate here now, right? So there's the small developers, and they can put out Snake 3D, that the game that you used to play on the Nokia phone, okay? Yep. And people would be like, "Oh, this is so awesome because it's nostalgic and it's just awesome. It's so cool. Let me sip my coffee as I play the Snake game." Okay, and they would have no expectations because that's what it is, right? But if EA picked up Snake, okay, and they're like, "We're developing for Snake 3.0 or whatever it is," people are going to be like, "Oh, they're going to go off the chain with that because now they're going to make it 3D and there's going to be add a whole bunch of stuff," and then it's going to be a letdown. You know what I mean? So when AAA titles come out with something, everyone wants them to be the best. They put this expectation, sort of Destiny. Let's talk about Destiny, right? Destiny had this expectation, which I thought was funny because when they announced Destiny originally, there was a game out already in the market called Defiance, where it had public events, okay? And there was literally hundreds of people at this one event, okay? And you could play, and it was online, it was MMO, it was all this. And they came out on E3 at 2013, and they're like, "No games like this. Look, you can come and do a public event." And they showed a walker, and they showed 6 guys or 9 guys come and attack it. And I was like, I'm playing a game right now that's just like this, okay? And then we had these expectations. Well, they're going to do it better than Defiance because Defiance did it bad, right? So we built this whole thing up for Destiny, and then Destiny came out, and we were hyped for it, right? The beta came out, the alpha came out, the beta came out. We were like, oh, this is good. I don't know why I like it, but I like it, right? Just go around shooting things. And then for the first 2 months, we were just like brainwashed. We were like, wow, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden we got to the higher levels and we're like, this is it? No, this is not anything they promised, right? So we had this expectation of Destiny, and then it didn't make it. And now we were like, oh, we'll wait for the DLC, the first DLC to come out. And they gave us the first DLC, and we were hyped again, and then we were let down again. And then they came out with House of Wolves, and we're like, no, they're going to do it right this time. And then they were let down again. And then finally, they came out with the Taken King, and we're like, see, I told you. It's the same. It's the people that keep saying the world's going to end, but it just doesn't end until it does, and then they tell you they're right. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that when there's an expectation for a game, that it gets let down because you build it up yourself, right? So that's what I had to say about that.
Right. Well, and I think Kadex touched on it when he said he thinks the development cycles need to be shorter, or flip it. I mean, maybe longer. I think what happens is, I've talked about this before, way back, this before I streamed, just my YouTube channel. I talked about how the marketing for a game gets disconnected from the final product. So you see all this marketing for a game, and then the product launches, and you're like, what in the, this doesn't seem in line. Call of Duty is that way. Some of the, I mean, even honestly, even some of the Assassin's Creeds felt a little redundant and repetitive, and they didn't quite deliver this immersive experience you were hoping to have. And then Destiny's probably the crown jewel as far as games that were just felt so massively disconnected from the marketing. What I think happens is the vision is cast for the game, and it's like, this is what we want to make, this is our dream, and the developer's like, awesome, this is so great, we can't wait to create this. And then the marketing team gets in, talks with the publisher, and like, this is the game, this is how we want it to be cast, this is how we want it to look. And even, I mean, Activision was even trying to say like what the music should be. That's why all this stuff happened with Marty. And then what happens is they say, hey, you need to develop it this quickly. Right. Destiny was a little bit different because it got retooled, reworked, and delayed a year. But typically what happens is the publisher says, no, you need to have this title ready by fourth quarter of 2014 or whatever the year is. And the developers are saying, look, this vision that we cast for this game, we can't do it in that amount of time. So things fall to the wayside. Innovation falls to the wayside. So Assassin's Creed, every town you do the same thing 1,000 times. It's like everything looks amazing and plays amazing, but you're doing the same things over and over again because there was no time for innovation, adding different events, different feels to the mission. So there was this vibrancy of content and this dynamic experience. All that falls to the wayside. Debugging the game falls to the wayside, so you end up with a game like Unity that they tried to do 1,000 things. It had multiplayer, it had co-op, it had all these things it never had before. The buildings were more intricate and larger, and it was just ripe for problems because it was like the publisher saying it needs to be done by this date. And so the marketing gets disconnected from the final product because the final product can't be realized in a healthy amount of time. And so either Cadex is right, they need to shorten development periods, or they need to lengthen them, or mine's like a hybrid. You have an episodic release of a game. So Assassin's Creed releases in 4 or 5 chapters over a year and a half to 2 years, and you're buying as it expands its game. So by the end, you've had this massive game and this massive experience, but it was far more stable and manageable from a development perspective, and I think easier to market because you're marketing and selling something that's a little bit cheaper, and then you can always do those specials and those bonuses. Buy chapters 1 through 3 for X amount cheaper because it's been out for 6 months. Things like that. I think that something needs to happen in that realm, because if not, this is what we're always going to be facing. And I think that's why beta testing is so high right now. It's like, holy crap, this development schedule was so short. We have got to have millions of people play it to help us debug it, because we can't debug it quickly enough. So I hope publishers figure out bumbled games like Unity can be very bad for all future titles.
You mean like how those Telltale games work,
Yeah.
where
Mm-hmm.
you have to like wait a couple months to get the next episode as they slowly develop more and more content to release.
I mean, that's what
Yeah.
that's what Destiny's doing, right? I mean,
To an extent, that is what Destiny's doing, and it's working.
Right.
At Taken King,
now it's working.
We have turned the corner. So
Right.
my hope is that can set a good standard for future
Right,
titles.
but now we have our expectation, right? They hit they hit the base, they hit the
Right.
baseline, and now if it's short of what Taken King is, we're going to be pissed. It has to be at least what Taken King is, and now we're expecting more.
Which is
Yeah.
why microtransactions have entered the picture, because
Right.
that's the way they're going to have to fund future, because they're not going to get people to bite $40 every time.
Right. Right.
My final thoughts is 30 you mentioned the initial release of Destiny. And I believe some of that hype actually came from Bungie, but without it being caused by Bungie. Bungie is obviously known for Halo, and everybody was looking for Halo on PlayStation 4. And when they didn't get that story, they didn't get that depth of field that they usually get from Halo, they were massively disappointed. And the marketing hype train for that game did not help it whatsoever. It just drove it into the ground even further. But for me, I was watching a Destiny trailer, so I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is going to be so great. It's going to be Halo basically on PS4, same development company. And I looked at gameplay, I'm like, this is nothing like I thought it was going to be. I mean, the game was pretty much over in, 120 hours if you grinded everything out. It felt so thin. Like it was pasta that was strained way too thin. And that's what I see a lot of titles doing. Is they're stretching their content out in false means. We call it false difficulty in the game design world, where instead of making like a boss fight extremely tough, you give them a bunch of HP and a bunch of shields and whatnot, and you simulate difficulty by the length of time the battle takes. That's what we call false difficulty, and I believe they added a whole lot of false difficulty in quests, raids, and missions in order for players to engage in content longer.
They still do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
you're
just-
going
it's-
to.
yeah.
And an MMO title, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But with such short story missions, such short gameplay, it's really obvious to look at.
Right.
Um,
Well, here,
All right.
real quick before you jump to the next thing. I mean, we're talking about indie games. The biggest indie game ever created is Minecraft, right? Now, would you piece out games? Because I played Minecraft 5 years ago. I was in the alpha. I paid literally $10 for Minecraft. I never paid the full price. I got in on the alpha and worked through the whole progression until it got released. What was it, last year, November 2014? I think the actual release date was 2014.
yeah.
They didn't have big backers behind them. You know, Notch was a developer, said, you know what, screw this, I'm quitting my job, I'm starting my own. He had no deadline. He started producing the game by himself and then slowly built up his team, okay? And then and he listened to the community, right? They added stuff and they kept doing it, and we were okay with it because we paid. It wasn't released yet, right? And we were helping make the game better, and they would release stuff and communicate with us the whole time. You know, you go to their website and they would tell you, oh, this is what we're doing here. Oh, that didn't work. We fixed it. And we were okay with that, right? Because of the price point compared to what you pay. Even when the game released, it was only $30, and it's an open world mecca of do whatever you want, build whatever you want. I mean, that indie game now set the standard for other titles. You know, Minecraft became a AAA title, and it wasn't. It was a independent person doing the game. So there's that one aspect of indie gamers trying to become a great popular game, and then when it does, you know, it works well.
In those regards, you knew you were buying into the
Absolutely.
alpha at that point.
Right,
You
and
knew
for
that
$10
you were going to be a part of the development process.
Right. For $10, I
But-
was like, why not?
But when you're buying AAA titles and you're not a part of that process, and at that time,
But you are just at a
Bungie-
higher price and not with the title.
yeah, and Bungie and Destiny, and they were not listening to their community at the time. When Destiny released, nobody was listening to the gripes, concerns, and comments. They basically shut them out for 3 full months. And then finally,
Well,
they're like,
yeah.
okay, well, we have fixes here. We're going
I
to,
think that's
finally fix the
contracts.
cave.
I think that's what that was.
Yeah. Well, if my theory is correct, though, what we got was Bungie putting the game back together again, so
Right.
they actually
They could-
had a deliverable. I think Activision shredded the game and ruined it. And I think the fact that Taken King is so good after only a year of development is a testament to how good Bungie is. I think the fact that we had a playable game that was actually fairly solid, but not a lot of bugs and glitches at all. The launch game of Vanilla Destiny was actually a very solid game, very tight, very good engine, and I think that's a testament to Bungie. I think the game got shredded by Activision, and I think it's unfortunate because that's how we felt. We felt like Bungie is ignoring us. This is stupid. This is bull. And the reality was, was they're probably thinking, you guys are right. This game does suck, and we wish it were not this way, you
Right.
know, but they can't say that.
Right. Right.
Right. All right. Next topic I have here is what are your views on the stereotypical gaming culture? This was brought on by by a certain late night talk show host I won't mention here on the stream. But he basically ripped into the gaming culture. I just want to get your views on how you
I
view
didn't see it,
your
so.
okay, how you view your community as a whole, and how you view Twitch and the gaming culture in a whole. Whether you see the good, the bad, the ugly, the mysterious. Go ahead.
I didn't see it. So who and what was the statement that he said?
We talking Kimmel here?
It was Kimmy. It was Kimmy Jimmel.
Kimmy
was
Jimmel?
Kimmy
Okay.
Jimmel.
Okay. And what was his?
Basically, he basically.
I don't watch
announced-
late night. You guys should be watching me late night. You guys shouldn't be watching Jimmy Kimmel late night. So
He
anyway,
denounced Twitch and basically say, "Why would you want to sit there and watch other people play video games?"
okay. Well,
And he just crapped on Twitch.
He butchered everything.
okay. Well, let's be honest. Okay. Why would you stay home and watch a guy interview a celebrity? What do I give a shit what that celebrity has to do or what he has to promote, right? It's the same kind of, I can say the same thing. Why would you want to sit there and watch someone talk about themselves about their movie and promote their movie? Doesn't interest me. You know what I mean? So as far as the actual the whole gaming culture, it's a popular thing, right? I mean, come on. When I was a kid, I played on the fucking ColecoVision. Okay, nobody knew what gaming was. There was thousands of people knew what gaming was. It's like when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak created the first computer for people. They're like, what is this? We were one of the first people, right? I had an Apple IIc. I had the original ones and stuff like that. They used to sell them at J.C. Penney's, for God's sakes. Okay, those people are the people now that you see on Twitch that are older, in the 40s, even 50s. Okay, I'm only 37, not really 30. I know my name's completely off now. People are thrown off. Okay, so, but the gaming culture is a fad. Here it is. It's the hipsters. I'm a hipster, right? That's what it is, right? It's a fad. People go, oh, it's cool, because when they go to work, okay, in their mundane lives, your life is a video game, people. I'm sorry, it's repetitious. You go to sleep, you wake up, you eat breakfast, you go to work, you do the same thing every day. Okay, it's a grind. That's why they call it a grind. Okay, so when you go to work and you're like, hey, what did you do this weekend? Oh, well, I played this game Destiny, and it's awesome. You know, you go to around, shoot people. It's just, I get out of my realm of real world. So then slowly other people are like, well, what the hell is that? I don't really game, but he's a friend of mine, so maybe I'll look into it, right? And so they go buy a gaming system and they sit down and now they have fun with each other over online, and they're like, hey, this is fun. And then the ball starts to roll, right? And then they're like, oh, well, I like this game. And then they start to talk about it. And then Twitch in general is just like your friends coming over. I used to have hundreds of people. I mean, literally hundreds of people come to my house. Okay. And we used to have tournaments of Mario and Mario Kart and NBA Jam, right? It was like a rotating door. My mom didn't even know who these kids were. Okay. The neighborhood kids would come over and play my Nintendo system, because not everyone had a Nintendo system. Okay. And they would sit in your house and watch you play video games, and you would take turns. That's just what it is. Twitch is a lazy man's couch, okay, where you can sit in front of your own screen and watch someone else and enjoy. You can just literally enjoy someone else playing a video game. And now with technology the way it is, it's just a fad. Why is one product more popular than the other? It's just the cohesiveness of the community, right? If people like fucking Bungie for one reason, other people like EA. Other people think EA's the devil, and other people think it's just whoever the group goes towards, who the more popular kids are hanging out with. The ball starts to roll. Other people get taken into it. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but other people get taken into the snowball effect. And now I'm a gamer, right? Like, I was in band when I was in high school. I wasn't a cool kid. I played video games. Okay, I got straight A's. That wasn't cool. Okay, so like now, I'm successful. I play video games, and I'm musically talented. Okay, these are all things people want to do in life now, right? Make money, be on The Voice, okay, and play video games so they can be in pop culture. That's it. It's just a fad. This will die off, and the people that are gamers will still be gamers, and the other people will go back to their other mundane life.
Okay, Lana?
Yeah, I mean, I think gaming, as far as the gaming culture goes, I think the culture is growing up a little bit. I mean, you're seeing some of the bigger YouTubers and streamers and personalities doing well, I think, to call out certain things that are really, really embarrassing, like what happened with when Bungie did the stream with the Dames of Destiny, and the chat got full of really unhelpful and horrible things, and people jumped in the game and said some horrible things. And there was a pretty big YouTuber, I forget his name, who kind of called those guys out and said, look, you're not part of this community. You're not, because the community of gamers doesn't approve of this kind of nonsense. You're basically, because if you think about what community is, it's what we're doing right now. We're connecting, we're talking, we're developing friendships. But when you hide behind the anonymity of the internet, you're not connecting with anybody. You're just a coward who wants to pick on people. You're the bully on the playground who gets to go home, to his safe haven of his parents' protection. And so that's all this is. This is like when you go to a sporting event, there's that idiot that gets drunk and belligerent, and eventually security has to throw him out. Gaming has that same thing. It's not quite as easy to deal with. I mean, because you've got the harassment and things that are going on, and we're having to get more creative. I mean, I've had to get creative with my own stream with the things that have happened to me in dealing with it. And so within the realm of Twitch streaming and that culture that's sort of developing, with respect to what Jimmy Kimmel said, and even that the ESPN guy, Colin Coward or whatever his name is, interesting last name, for how he's acted about the whole thing. I mean, he got called out by Hayward, an NBA star, basically came on the show and is like, you're just dealing in stereotypes, talking about gamers as if they're overweight guys living in their parents' basement and never see the light of day. And it's like, no, I know most of these guys on Twitch, a lot of the really successful ones, potentially they probably make more money than this radio show host guy, which is hilarious. He's making fun of the guys. He was making fun of the guys who play professionally and go to tournaments. And it's like, I know those guys make more money than you do with some of the prize pools. So just with anything, if you don't understand it, you can either act like an intelligent individual and try to understand it, or just have no interest in it, or you can denounce it. And typically those who are ignorant, foolish, or don't have the patience to learn, they just denounce what they don't understand. This happens in politics, religion. It happens in what you choose to do with your time. I don't understand and can't fathom people enjoying spending their time fishing. It doesn't jive with me and my likes. But I don't denounce it and call it stupid and childish and silly and be like, well, we don't need to do that anymore. They did that in the Stone Ages, so why would you need to fish anymore? Like, that's an ignorant thing to do and an ignorant way to live your life. And I think that's what's happening with gaming. Jimmy Kimmel's just a comedian, and comedians like to troll. Unfortunately,
right.
Gamers gave him what he wanted. He got a lot of click relevancy, and I'm sure a ton of ad revenue from everybody watching his YouTube clip and going to comment and telling him that they hope he gets cancer. But I think that's in that same category of, you're not part of the gaming community, because none of us went and did that. None of the big Twitch streamers went and did that. Markiplier tried to go on there and actually have an interaction with Kimmel, and ironically enough, Kimmel didn't even engage with them as a person. He engaged with them as his character of Jimmy Kimmel, which is funny because he said go out and interact with people and interact with real people, and it's like, but you weren't even willing to do that,
right,
Jimmy. So he turned it into a bit, which is why I felt like Mark was a little frustrated.
That's what he gets paid for, though, right?
Yeah, that's what he gets paid for. And that was what was so disappointing, was that, well, now the gaming culture just gets represented on this national stage of looking like a bunch of children who lose their mind on the internet, and that's just the cliche, when I would say 70 to 80% of the gaming community just doesn't act like that. Yeah, right. There's kids that rage quit and yell profanity, but for the most part, the gaming community doesn't act that way. And when they do, they don't get to stick around for very long, because you don't make any friends, you get banned, you get unfriended, you get blocked. Nobody wants to play with you. So you're either going to have to change your gamer tag or disappear or stop playing, or just be those guys that don't play with anybody. So like the guy said in the video to the people who harass the Dames of Destiny, if that's how you act and that's the way you behave, you're not part of this community. You are on the fringe, and you'll fall away eventually and have to go harass somebody else, because eventually you'll just get bored and you'll become uninteresting. Like view-botting channels now. It's uninteresting. No one cares.
I don't know why people
It's not
do that.
alarming or worrisome. So you'll have to find something else to do with your time. The rest of us are having fun making friends and playing video games.
Real quick, what you said about fishing, I just thought, someone, if you think about if you did trolling in real life, someone's fishing and you're just like on a boat going past and you're like, you suck. You know what I mean? Like you just start trolling them.
You're
like,
not gonna catch
yeah,
anything
yeah,
today.
Yeah, you fat man sitting on the beach. You know what I mean? It's like, can you just imagine if you implemented that in the world? I don't know. Just funny.
How to make fun of the fat man. All right, Reaper.
Well, Lano here kind of stole the words right out of my mouth. But if I was Mark and I heard Jimmy say that without him having any background himself in gaming or doing the live stream thing, I personally would have slapped him right on his own TV show. Like, dude,
What
you don't
happened?
know.
We lost.
You-
We lost
Yeah.
Reaper. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Keep
Yes.
talking, Reapers. It just got messed up.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that, and I don't know. That just would have really made me feel a little salty. I actually felt insulted that was going on there.
Okay.
And, oh, wow, you
Uh,
did totally lose me.
Yeah, you're still in the call, but
That's
looks like we
weird.
lost your video.
Yeah, just no video.
Okay.
That's never happened.
And then Kadex moved over to Reaper's spot.
I'm the ghost of
Okay.
everything.
Okay,
I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna hang up on you real fast and then bring you back in the call.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, while he's working on that, I'm gonna start talking my fat gums off. Honestly, I think the gaming culture is evolving from the Mac 2 and Oregon Trail all the way to the PS4 and Destiny. I feel, hey, he's back. I feel that there's a subtle yet shift in two sections because we are a fractured community. There is the side of the community that loves to see the world burn. They're responsible for view botting, trolling, follow botting, and just nasty stuff. The black hat of the gaming culture, if you will. And then you have, your white hat and gray areas where, you have people, like in this podcast that are gaming for good reasons, for interaction. They love video games, they have a general passion about it, and they just want to be interactive and be successful while doing so. And then you have the gray area where you have your casual gamers, the ones that mostly play on mobile or play on consoles every once in a while, where they're just in it for the game. They're in it for that experience. So I do think we are dealing with a fractured community, but in a whole, I believe the community is good. I'm a glass half full guy, so that's how I'm naturally going to react. All right. Next topic is the future of holographic gaming. I'm talking about the HoloLens, Project Morpheus, and the Oculus. Just want to get your guys' viewpoints on how you think this is going to impact the future of gaming and what impact that might have. 30?
Oh, someone else go first. I'm fixing your stuff right now.
Okay. We'll go on.
That's so
We'll skip you, go right back to you.
Okay, yeah, this is interesting because I'm worried that this is going to be like 3D televisions, and I think that's unfortunate because it is incredible innovation. It's impressive. It looks awesome. I think it's really hard to market, and I think because of that, until it becomes, if it ever becomes, it may never become standardized like the way that a console is in the home now. Like a console in the home is as standard as a television, right? So it's same as a PC in the home. So if augmented reality or virtual reality can become more standardized, then I think it'd be okay. For the time being, the biggest challenge is going to be getting developers that want to learn how to do it, because it's got to be, there's a lot of new things you probably have to figure out how to nuance and wrangle with. Secondly, then that's a lot of time and investment into something that may not sell well at all. Like the sales, the margins in the potential sales forecasts for VR and AR have to be significantly lower than even the most basic indie title platformer you can buy on the Xbox One, simply because there aren't as many of these pieces of hardware in circulation. So that just causes a ripple effect of challenge, because publishers are very, as I've said, they're risk averse. So they're going to look and say, no, we're not going to invest money in this because nobody's doing it. Now they might consider it because they want to be the biggest first one with their name on it, and maybe get one of the guys from the NBA to wear it and talk about it and be like, oh, it's so amazing. That there's potential there, but again, if it doesn't become standard, even if it is the biggest and the first and the best, the profit margins and the potential sales are so much lower because there aren't nearly as many of them out there and in circulation. So this could run the risk of being like 3D televisions, just here and gone, not standard, not popular, far too niche. And not very alluring to most people. 3D movies give me a headache. Many people express the same thing. They don't like it. They don't. You spend extra, and it doesn't. I don't think it ever looks as good, especially if it's not made like Avatar or even like I saw one of the Ice Age movies in 3D. There's like it's made for 3D, but a lot of movies aren't, and so gaming is going to run the same risk. If you're developing your game and then you want to try to spice things up by doing VR and AR, I'm also worried about that too. Like you're going to have games that are ported to AR and VR and it's not true and doesn't work right, and that can give it a bad rap and a bad reputation. And then because if whoever owns the rights and sells lets people develop games for them, if they are just sort of hungry for the popularity and the publicity of like, yes, so and so wants to make their game VR compatible, they could run the risk of very bad PR because it could be a total botched launch. So I'm not interested in it at all. I'm not. It doesn't appeal to me. It seems like it's going to appeal to younger gamers. I think, especially the augmented reality, that Minecraft thing they showed at E3 was mind blowing, and yet it doesn't appeal to me. As a fan of the gaming culture and the industry, and that I want to see it progress and advance, I hope it's successful and does very well. But I would say at this point, if you made me put money on the table, I would say no. In 5 years, we're not going to be talking about it.
Okay. Reaper. We'll just start voting at 30.
Yeah, I got 2 points on that one. Money. How much would something like that cost? I mean, not only just to purchase it, but with something that technologically advanced, I mean, you're gonna have to buy at some point some maintenance stuff just to keep it working smooth. And I mean, it's just too much money, And we live in a day and age where stuff's just getting more and more expensive. Well, yeah, it's awesome the way we're going, but they need to tone it down a little bit. And my other point on that would be, it sounds like a good idea in theory. I mean, I've seen a YouTuber play a couple Telltale games actually on it, and it was interesting, but it's not something that really catches my eye personally. Something they could work on a little bit there.
All right, 30.
All right. Well, I've talked about this many times on my own show. So basically, I give it 7 years before we even see it as mainstream. Okay, the Oculus Rift is only going to be popular because of porn, and you can quote me on that. Okay, that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be for porn, and when porn picks up something, it doesn't matter if it's popular anywhere else mainstream. They make it well. Okay, Blu-ray. Okay, didn't get picked up by porn, right? HD did. So there you go. So VHS got picked up by porn industry. That's why it got successful. And beta went out the door. 3D is a niche thing. Virtual reality has always been a niche thing. It doesn't matter if it's in arcades, if it's in your home. Nobody wants to. Let's say I'm playing Madden football, right? The Kinects work so well. All of us got so skinny and stuff playing with that. So basically, you're going to be standing in your room. Tell me how many people in chat are going to stand in the room, okay, and go hut, 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 and then pretend you're throwing a ball and then catching the ball. You'll do that in 2 plays. You'll be out of breath and you'll be sitting on the couch, okay? Same with the Nintendo Wii. Remember when the bowling came out? We all stood up and you had the thing in your hand and you bowled. That lasted about 2 games, and you're like, oh wait, I can sit down and do this, right? And you sat there and you did it, right? It'll never pan out. The HoloLens I can see working better than the Oculus Rift, okay? And as Reaper said, with the price point as far as I paid $400 for my console. Okay, now I'm paying. They have to have a good price point. Now, if they want a good price point, they've already said about $350 for the Oculus Rift. Okay, that's way too much for mainstream people. They need to bring that cost down to about like $150. Okay, for people to go, you know what? Or they bundle it with the console. So you buy the console. Let's say it's 350 right now. It's 400, and you get the Oculus Rift and the controller, the Xbox controller that comes with it. You know, so they throw in the Oculus Rift. The only way it'll be mainstream is if they hand it to people in their boxes. Okay, and even then, they'll pull it out of the box. They'll play it for the first month, 2 months. It'll be awesome. It'll be on Twitch. People will be like, "Oh, I want one." They'll get it. They'll get the money that they want to make, and then it'll collect dust on the thing. And then they don't even
Like
look
with the Connect bundle.
right with the Connect bundle, right? And then they got rid of the Connect bundle because no one wants to say Xbox on. Xbox on. I said on. No, you just hit the button. You just hit the button and go on, right? Or you touch the front of the fucking button of the machine and it goes. Okay, sorry for the F-bomb. Sorry. So basically, it's always a niche. Right? It's always a niche. It'll never ever take off. Like I said, with a 3D game, with the 3D televisions, that stuff needs to stay. Now, if someone buys the Oculus Rift or buys the HoloLens and they make great interactive. There was a thing I showed on Generation X Gaming when Guardian Outpost was on. Okay, they were on stage. Big spider came out of the wall. They were like shooting it with lasers and stuff like that. That's cool, right? But that's a niche thing. Now, if someone did a business of that, where you went to a warehouse and like there was teams of people wearing the HoloLenses and you're like fighting each other and like virtual things are coming out of the wall and you pay a mission for it, sure. But if I'm sitting in my house, you know, and I'm playing on my wall, it's cool the first time. You bring your friends over, you get high, you give them the thing, they start shooting things out coming out of the wall, right? So that's it. It's a niche thing. It'll never take off. Like I said, the only way it's going to take off, Oculus Rift will be a porn-driven device. HoloLens will be more business, as far as like doctors and engineers and people that can look at their, you know, like Star Trek. You know, you can turn something around and look at all the parts that you make on your 3D printer and stuff like that. I believe that's what's going to happen.
Well, and before Kadex wraps it, there's something 30 was talking about that kind of made me think about another thing that's going to potentially pose a challenge. Is it'll be too immersive, which is it's counterintuitive to be like, well, it's going to be too immersive for video games. I think gaming, especially because of Twitch and YouTube, it's far more communal than it's ever been. Like, you could always have friends over and play Nintendo, or I grew up doing LAN parties. You take your computer over and you play Quake all night, or Unreal Tournament. And so it's there. The growth and the expansion of gaming is intrinsically linked to the fact that it's more communal. You're interacting with people, whether through the headset or through Twitch streaming or just having friends coming over. And that type of gaming is so immersive. I think it would be challenging in a way to then feel like you're able to interact with people, almost like it would bring you so much as far as the way I'm losing my words here. It would be your faculties, the way you listen and hear and sense. It would take too much of that. So much brain power would be used to immerse into the game. You would struggle to then feel like you could interact and talk with people. I feel that when I'm streaming, it's like I'm so locked into the game, especially a PvP game, because you can't take a breath. You've got to keep moving and keep fighting. That if I stop and read the chat and then come back, there's this disorientation of like, wait, where am I at? Where am I out on the map? Where am I supposed to go? And so I'm just wondering if that's going to also pose a problem, that when people play it, they feel like it's so immersive, they're just by themselves and it's difficult for them to interact with other people, which if that's their expectation as a gamer, they'll then kind of reject it. Like, yeah, it's fun and cool. I do like the way that it looks and feels, but that's not how I like the game. I'll be interested to see if that's another criticism people have when they play it.
Okay. I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here, because I do see two specific gaming types that the HoloLens in particular would be massively effective for, and that would be for MOBAs, and that would be for RTS like StarCraft. Just imagine you on a card table and having the entire map in front of you, being able to interact live with people across the world, and you have this holographic map in front of you, being able to interact with it. You have, your RTS like StarCraft. You have your professional StarCraft people that would be able to basically have the map with the fog of war and everything around it, and then you're able to interact with the map on your table. Also with MOBAs, you'd be able to see the entire layout, the whole 3 lanes of the MOBA, and be able to strategize a little bit more expertly, because your window can only show so much. You have to scroll in, scroll out, scroll around, and everything like that. And on like a card table, you'd have the entire map open. So you'd be able to strategize a little bit better with a HoloLens, just sitting or standing up in your living room and playing it almost like a chess match against another player. I feel that's two examples of how the HoloLens in particular could be really good for gaming.
Well, they don't say, like, when they showed the HoloLens for Minecraft, right? They showed that table that was on. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't go into specifics of, like, if I bring it home, okay, or if I even, let's say I go outside with it, right? If I look at my neighborhood, is it going to virtually implement the whole world in my front yard and someone else's property, or is it just going to consist of a 12 by 12 square in front of you? Okay, you know what I'm saying? They didn't tell you that, they don't tell you or anything. What they showed was awesome, right? I can move. I personally think it's a little cumbersome if I have to like scroll with my hand doing this all the time to try to see the whole map. Where if I'm playing Minecraft on the thing, I just zoom out and I can see a wider range of it. You know what I'm saying? There's always those things that hinder you where it sounds good in theory, but when you put it in your room, it just doesn't. There's a couch in the way. There's things. What about if someone walks through my map? You know, as they're there. I know it's just a virtual reality on top of the world, but it's also got to map it out on. I'm talking about the Minecraft in general. It's got to map it
Yeah.
out on your actual floor and stuff like that. So it seems cool. Like I said, the HoloLens is actually more. I think it's more successful than the Oculus Rift type.
Well, I think the way it works is in the E3 demonstration, he said create world. So I think what you have to do more than likely is it's gonna have a virtual box, and it's gonna look for a flat area. So you've literally got to look and find one, and when you find one, it'll probably like turn green and be like, yeah, this is a good spot. And you say create world, and then it orients it to that spot, and like it's locked to there. So when you look away from it, it's still going to be on the table when you look back. Outside, I mean, I could be wrong, but I would speculate that's probably how it's going to work. I actually liked what some of Kadex was saying. I'm envisioning card games and board
Oh
games
yeah.
that you could then play with your friend in Russia, or your aunt in Florida. Like you can get online and play. Because I mean, card games, especially now, in board games, you're seeing YouTube channels and gaming personalities going on there and playing them. So there's the kind of that rise of the old way of gaming, right? The old way of doing it. So I could see that being another cool way of doing it. So again, I want it to be successful. I don't want to write it off. I hope
Right.
Cade's right. I hope there's really cool things that come from it that allows a lot of cool innovation.
Yeah, mainstream 7 years. That's my quote. 7 years.
I do have one more thing real quick on that, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
That whole you can use it to surf the internet or design stuff. I think that's actually the way they should go with it. So I mean, imagine the potential that they can have with like game designing. Instead of using a computer and having to use like these tablets with the little pen and stuff, they could use that and actually get everything just spot on, so there doesn't have to happen any AC Unity issues ever again with all the falling halfway through the floor kind of stuff.
All right. If we're all covered on that one, just a little social media and the gaming marketing machine. How social media can help marketing, and how social media can absolutely cripple a marketing campaign for any given game. 30.
Well, I'm still learning the social media myself, so follow me on Twitter because I need help. Yeah,
Shameless plug.
as far as the Twitter goes, I think it's huge. I mean, if you get, for instance, just like Twitch, if you get a Gothalion to say something nice about your game or your channel, right, it goes out to hundreds of thousands of people instantly, right, and that could make or break a product, okay, let alone a game. So I think it's a huge part now in this world, because people are not watching commercials, and if they are, they got to be short. I mean, short, and funny, or something to grab the attention of somebody. Where social media, you don't need to have a commercial. You can literally just put 140 characters of something with a link, and boom, it goes there. And even if they don't click the link, or they click the link and it's a picture, or they see it for a split second, that made impact. It made an impression, and that's what they call it, an impression. So it's huge. If Kim Kardashian likes something, it goes out to millions of people. Even if you don't follow her, somewhere down the line, someone that you follow is following her, and you're going to see it. So it gets out to the masses, and that's what Twitch is. Twitch is the Twitter for video games, right? So if a person makes a video game, if an indie developer, and indie developers are doing great, right? Code Carnage plays a lot of indie games. There's a lot of other streamers. I don't know their names right off the top of my head, but they reach out to these Twitch streamers and say, hey, I noticed that you played my game, or you have interest in it. They give them free codes. They start playing it. People see it. They're like, oh, that looks cool. What game is that? Oh, it's such and such by this person. Oh, great. Oh, I'm giving a code out. Follow me on Twitter. I'm giving the code. Boom. So it's that in-world, virtual world, in-world real experience. The coolest thing that I thought about Twitter on my honeymoon 5 years ago, okay, I was on Twitter right when it came out. I used to follow this guy. His name is Kevin Rose. He made Dignation and stuff like that. And we were out in San Francisco, and he said some tea place that I couldn't remember. So I literally on Twitter got on and said, hey, what was that tea place you talked about on your show? And he said, oh, this is my friend's place. Here it is. Sent me a link. Found it on the map on my cell phone. We walked to the tea place. He says, I'll meet you there. And I met the guy in person, right? So that barrier of celebrity-ish to normal person, instant access to talk to that person. He was cool enough to meet us there and talk to us for a bit. You know what I mean? So that wall is gone, where I can reach out to EA or Bungie and say, hey, Bungie, this is broke. You know what I mean? And they can instantly come back to me and say, hey, we're fixing it. You know what I mean? So Twitter, social media, any kind of stuff, I think is mandatory in any kind of business, any kind of game development now. You have to have a social media presence.
Lana?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a user, the way that most people, unless you're really huge and you got a massive following like a Gothalion or somebody else, I mainly use it as a means of just announcing things and getting my content in front of the people that are interested in me, and hoping that when they retweet and hashtags, I might snag a few extra clicks here and there. I mean, you'd be surprised how many, on some of the better exposures I'll get on a tweet, how few people click, because it's so saturated that I think that's why clickbait is such a big thing, and why, unfortunately, now a lot of marketing campaigns for big companies, they do things that are really, really stupid. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but for Black Ops 3, the Twitter account for Black Ops 3 switched and made everything look like they were some news site. It was a fake news site, and they announced, and they had fake news announcements about rumored terrorist attacks that were happening in these different cities. It was so instantly and hotly criticized, because it's like, you're going to be causing fake panic and hysteria about things that aren't real and aren't happening because you're trying to promote a video game. And they since have reversed it and said they said they were shocked at the response and everything else. And it's like, that's the kind of dumb stuff that companies have been doing lately with campaigning, and they'll latch on to the death of a celebrity or a holiday that's supposed to be about, like, remembering whether it's veterans or whatever, and then they kind of latch onto it to market SpaghettiOs, and it's like, this is not the way it should go. And then sort of the other realm is kind of what 30 was talking about, getting somebody who's fairly significantly big and influential to talk about your product. The problem there is, if you guys watch the show where I was on with 30, on his show where we talked about what happened with Machinima, where they were paying YouTube content creators to create Xbox One positive content for thousands of dollars. The one guy made $30,000 after it was all said and done. I mean, he made what a teacher makes on a salary for making a couple of videos to promote Xbox One. So the danger with social media now is that it's become this cesspool of trying to get people to click, and so people are hesitant to click. And so that when it's a genuine, like, hey, check out my game, check out my YouTube video, check out this, it just turns into, like, nobody's clicking. Like, anybody I follow back on Twitter, 70% of the time I get an automatic direct message from them that's, hey, thanks for following, check out my YouTube. And it's just like, I'm not going to do that. I couldn't possibly. What purpose does it serve to subscribe to 1,000 YouTube channels because those 1,000 people direct messaged me? So you've got to be real savvy and creative to use it to grow. If you're trying to grow your brand and presence just on Twitter, you got to be real savvy and creative and create, like, a lot of Guardian Outpost is probably one of the best guys I've seen do it. And I think a lot of it's just because he networks like a madman. And his
Oh yeah.
support smaller streamers hashtag is brilliant because everybody latches onto it because oh yeah, promote me. So it's this
Yeah.
self-replicating machine that's gotten him a lot of followers, and that's great for his podcast. That's difficult. I mean, he's done that very well. But for someone like me, content creating and streaming, or even like 30 or Reaper and Cade, you guys stream as well. I think it's difficult for you to sit down and like, okay, so how am I going to leverage Twitter? I think the best thing to do is point your fans to it, and then always have them retweet you. And outside of that, just keep doing that to have that presence and that growth. So just you're slowly building your influence and keeping yourself in front of the people that enjoy your content.
Okay. Reaper.
I'll make it short because I got to cut out here in a second. Got some stuff going on. But I love social media on the fact that it brings it makes the gaming community a lot bigger, and at the same time, EA can cause some stupid stuff to happen. It's kind of a good thing if you think about it. I mean, if there wasn't Twitch, then where would gaming be right now? Because there probably wouldn't be that esports going on or anything. For example, I mean that took them how long?
Well,
20 years almost.
Well, it would be going on. It just wouldn't be as mainstream as it is.
Yeah.
Well,
But I think overall it's pretty good. You know, can be a good thing just as long as the self promotion stops.
well, my thoughts on social media are pretty basic. It's a double-edged sword. You can use it for good, and you can use it for bad. Twitch streamers generally use it for good, especially when they're doing, hashtag sports while streams, or they're just trying to, throw their product out there, whether it's YouTube, Twitch streaming, whatever it might be. The one problem I have with social media is that there's so much flooding. When you start to get big, you start to follow more people. When you start to follow more people, you get kind of overwhelmed with your Twitter feed. I woke up this morning and I had over 250 new tweets on my Twitter feed. There's no way I'm going to read them all. There's no way I'm going to click on them all. And when you start to follow more people and more people follow you, you get almost kind of drowned out in the noise. Especially if you're trying to do something important, if you're trying to, charity stream, if you're trying to support somebody, if you have a really important message you want to get out to the world, it really gets drowned out in the noise. And it's really hard to kind of make that impact like Wano said. Basically, all you have to do is you have to be a constant presence. You have to be somebody like, oh, hey, I saw him tweet the other day, and he's tweeting again. I wonder if he's going to tweet tomorrow. They come back tomorrow, hey, he tweeted again. He's constant.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that smaller streams have, is that they get so discouraged because they throw their content on Twitter, hey, come check me out, hey, I'm here, but nobody sees them, nobody hears them. The biggest hurdle is always being constant, always being kind of positive about the situation, even though, like, half the time I'm streaming for myself. I'm talking to myself throughout the stream. We were talking about this before we went live. You got to learn how to talk to yourself. And basically, Twitter is the exact same thing. You still have to talk on Twitter, even though nobody might be listening. So that's my thought on that. Let's see. What's next? We're going to do a little Q&A to kind of wrap things up. I have a few questions for you. It's nothing personal. It's just for everybody in the stream to kind of get to know you just a little bit better. We'll start with 30 on the first question. Games on the horizon. What are you looking forward to?
Obviously, Fallout 4 comes out in less than a month. Also, Star Wars Battlefront. Huge Star Wars fan. I like the beta. And surprisingly, I'm looking forward to the Tomb Raider that comes out. I wasn't even thinking about getting it, and then one day my stream said you should play the last Tomb Raider, so I did, and I fell in love with it again. I used to play all the Tomb Raiders back on the old consoles, never even thought about getting the new one, and because it was free on Xbox Live, I was like, hey, let me try it out. I absolutely loved it. So I'm actually looking forward to those 3 games in the near future. On the far future, No Man's Sky. I'm interested in No Man's Sky. I don't have a PS4, but that's okay because I'll figure a way to play it. But I'm a little hesitant for that game. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a big hype for the game, but yet not really know what it's about. Yeah, so Fallout 4 and Battlefield or Battlefront is the 2 that I'm looking forward to next.
Wanna?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely co-sign on the Tomb Raider. Such a good game. I was talking to my brother tonight. I did not realize the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition has a game corrupting file glitch that they still haven't patched, and it happened to him. He was 86% in the game, just was getting into the really cool part of the game, and it happened. So I was like, oh my gosh, it made me sick to my stomach to have him tell me, and I was like, it's such a good game, that's horrible to happen. But I mean, I am looking forward to the next Tomb Raider. It was so good. I was glad to see it as part of Games with Gold, hoping that it gets some really good exposure and then helps the next game. I don't like that game has a black eye on it with this whole year-long exclusivity for Xbox One. Even as an Xbox One owner, I think it's just it's just total nonsense. I think it's bad for the gaming culture for that to be, perpetuated. I'm glad to hear Phil Spencer say they're moving away from doing that, because I think they know it doesn't actually have a huge ROI and they're losing the console battle anyway, and so it's not really within their business plan. So I was glad to hear that. Outside of Tomb Raider, I'm looking forward to Halo 5, I think, more than I thought I ever would, just because the campaign looks so good. And I've kind of wanted a good, just linear co-op campaign for a while, and I haven't had a good one in a while. So I'm looking forward to that. And as far as distant future, I'm right there with 30. No Man's Sky is the reason I wanted a PS4, and I'm still jealous Cade got to play the beta, and actually really excited for that Horizon game as well. I think that game looks just sweet. I hope they knock it out of the park. Those action adventure games can sometimes be pretty disappointing because they're too small or too simplistic. What we got to see at E3 looked very, very good. I hope they take their time and deliver a home run, because I thought it looked awesome.
All right, Reaper?
I'm looking forward to the next Tomb Raider also. I mean, I loved the first one. There was a couple things they could work on, like the whole you can't invite your friends to your own lobby before you find matches if you feel like doing multiplayer. But the single player just blew my mind so many times. I'm kind of looking forward to BO3. It's a little hit and miss there because of what happened on the weekend when they decided to open it up to the open beta instead of closed. And I would say the next Dead Island looks really good from what I've seen in the commercials, but I think it's been in development for like the last 4 years or something, because I haven't seen any commercial or any advertisement for about since 2012, I think.
There was even fears it might not happen, because I think some big person in the development team or creative team left. So I don't know what is even happening with the game. Hopefully it gets back on track. They've made assurances it's going to come, but I think it's been delayed significantly because of that.
It sounds like what happened to Destiny actually is they had the same issue with the new Dead Island, so they're having to reboot the whole thing.
Yeah. Quickly, a quick rundown of the list I'm looking forward to. Obviously, Fallout 4, just like every grandmother in the channel. Also, No Man's Sky. I cannot tell you that much about No Man's Sky, but I will tell you this. It will blow everybody's mind. I got to play the game for a solid week, and I loved every second of it.
But you can't play with your friends.
Technically,
Who cares?
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
You technically can play with your friends,
if you can
but
find
like
them.
the developers said, it's going to be very hard to find them.
Right.
As far as I know, there is one server. Everybody will be on the same server. For PS4, and then
like
a
a
different
disaster.
server, of course, for Xbox One, and so on.
Sounds like
and so
Elder
forth.
Scrolls Online all over
Sounds
again.
like a disaster waiting to
But-
happen.
And yes, it is coming to Xbox One, but it's going to be a port, and it might not be.
Wait a
as
minute.
good as
Wait a minute.
this
Back that up.
The
Did you say
port.
it's coming out for Xbox One?
It will be coming out for Xbox One.
When?
It's going to be at least 8 to 12 months
I
after.
can wait. I'll be playing Fallout 4 till then. So.
But I will say that the game is absolutely stunning. What you saw at E3 did not do it justice. It really doesn't. It cannot do it justice. Fallout 4, of course, No Man's Sky. Horizon Zero Dawn is another title.
That's it. Is it the dinosaur one? With the
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
not Dark Horizon. I put it in the chat. That's the one. That looked phenomenal.
Yeah, that's what I meant. When I
Horizon
said
Zero.
Horizon, that's the full title is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm also
Horizon
waiting
Zero
for
Dawn's
Ark.
another title. It reminds me a lot of a Tomb Raider / Uncharted
Yes. Yes.
mixture. It has that element to it where you have the strong female protagonist, but you have the adventure of an Uncharted. And those are the three main games that I'm really looking forward to. Battlefront's really got me concerned. It felt a little stripped down for me, especially for a $60 title. Now, if it was $39.99,
What do you mean? What do you mean stripped down? Because all it is the exact same thing as it was before.
It seemed a little stripped down because I was expecting a little bit more. I know it was just a beta, but I was expecting a little bit more for them to build on from Battlefront 2. And it seems like instead of building on the franchise, they've simplified it, which might be a good thing for AAA titles to do nowadays. But it just seems a little bit too simplified for me. Now, granted, it was just a beta. I realize that. I'm going to be watching Twitch streams when the game releases, and I'll make my decision then. But it did seem a little bit, ABC 1, 2, 3 for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. What's your favorite game?
Of all time or like
All
right
time.
now?
All time.
It's not fair.
Holy Christ!
Yep. I'm putting you on the spot.
Can I have a genre? Can I have something?
If you had one game stuck on an island, what would you?
Yeah.
what would you play?
If I had one game stuck on an island, well, first of all, it has to be an open world game. Because if it's an open world game, that means I can play it forever and not get bored of it. Man, if I'm stuck on an island and I have to play one game nonstop, I'm gonna have to go with either Skyrim, or Fallout 4. I don't know it yet, but I'm gonna have to pick Fallout 4. If I'm gonna be stuck on an island, I'm gonna be post-apocalyptic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well. All right, Lana.
This question always irritates me because I like to break it into old
Yeah,
gen.
right.
I'm
Usually
putting you guys
I
on the spot.
usually I cheat and I pair up Borderlands 1 and 2 together, but 30 makes me choose my favorite child when he asked me this question. Which, how do you do that?
Right, you gotta pick one or the other. They're both drowning. You can't get them both.
Oh, that's awful. So, I would pick Borderlands 2. It's my favorite game. I've never, out of all the video games I've ever played, that was the game I sunk so many hours into it. When I kind of looked back, I was like, no, I didn't. That was the only game. This is before Twitch streaming, before 24-hour streams. That's the only game I've ever sat down in the evening and played it all the way until the next day in the afternoon. Like I had to shower and drink coffee to like wake myself up. My friend couldn't believe it. He's like, I can't believe you're still playing. I was like, I cannot stop playing this game. Like, just
That's before your kid, right? Before your first kid. Yeah.
My wife went to like a women's retreat thing, so like she wasn't even home. Like
Right.
when she found out like months later I did it, she's like, "You did? You stayed up all night?" It's like, yeah.
I got the housework
And-
done.
I got all the chores done. But I mean, it's so difficult, I think, for a game to hook me because I always find things that bug me, or I get bored, or I get lost. Like Skyrim, I just started to feel like things were like futile, and I don't. It's something about it. It was a great game, but I got lost in it. Something about Borderlands, that universe and that aesthetic and the guns and everything. Oh man, so good, so good. That would be the one I if you make me pick, Borderlands 2.
All right, Reaper.
Do I have internet on this island?
No, you do not.
Right, no multiplayer. There's no multiplayer.
Okay, it's between Fallout and Splinter Cell. Conviction.
Okay.
Conviction.
Fallout, which Fallout?
Either New Vegas, unless New Vegas is good, or if Fallout 4 turns out good.
If I was stuck on an island, I would honestly want to play Final Fantasy X. Um, the game I literally sunk in 120 hours within 3 weeks.
Oh,
Um, I played that game to the nines, and it was my first role playing game, so I think that's where a lot of my experience comes from with
oh,
RPGs.
well, it broke your cherry. That's why. That's why you love it.
Exactly. I bought it at GameStop for $17, and I still own my original copy. I never let it go. I still have my original PlayStation, and I still play it from time to time. So I think that bit of nostalgia would be the game that I would choose.
You know what? I'm switching my answer. It's Red Dead Redemption.
Hey, there you go. You're going cowboy.
Bleh.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. We need a
Yeah.
sequel. We need a sequel to that friggin' game.
It's coming. It's coming.
Another question: what was your first system? Whether console or PC?
My very first system was the what the hell is it called? It was a big giant box. It just had a knob. It played Pong. That was it.
Atari 2600.
No, before that,
That's what I have.
Odyssey. The Odyssey.
Oh, see, yeah.
That was my very first system. I played when I was
Okay.
3 years old, and it was Pong.
Nice. Lana?
Yeah, my dad had one of the Pong turn things. We got that out years later. Coleco was my dad had a ColecoVision, and we played the heck out of that.
I
And
had
then
that
the
too.
original Nintendo
Yep.
was the end of my life. I mean that was mind blowing. So he had the Coleco, so I kind of got to play the Coleco because of my dad having one. And he took us every couple weeks. He would take one of my brothers to the arcade, Funway Freeway. So like we were gamers from very early on, and it was amazing to watch my dad play Punch Out. But the first console we got, like we wanted it, we bought it, we opened it at Christmas, and we lost our minds, was the original Nintendo.
Reaper?
It's a toss up because that was so long ago. I can't remember which one was out at the time. It was either the Atari or the PC with those gigantic floppy disks
What year?
with
What year?
the original Duke Nukem when that came out.
Oh my gosh!
And
Nice.
so it's a tie between that or Shinobi when that came out.
Shinobi.
My origins of gaming actually started
Yeah.
in
Hey,
school.
that was a good game. Don't diss on Shinobi. I'm still
My
waiting for
social
Xbox to
studies
happen.
teacher would allow me 30 minutes a day because I'd always finish my schoolwork really early. And I was in 5th grade, and we had the Mac 2.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we played Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. Yeah, yeah.
We played Oregon Trail until the wheels fell off, literally.
Literally. Yep.
And
Or until little Susie died of syphilis.
Or dysentery.
All right. 2 last questions. The first, favorite character in video games.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, the tough question.
Golly.
No, that's my answer. Jesus. No. Someone else go first. Let me think about this for a second.
All right.
It's not fair. I get to go first.
One I was thinking too. So Reaper.
Of all time.
What was the question again?
Favorite
All-time
character in video games.
Okay. Actually, I do got one for you. Don't judge me on this either. Friggin' Tails from the
Tails.
original Sonic the Hedgehog. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because once you first start playing it, you're like, oh my god, to hell with Sonic. I'm playing Tails. I want to fly this shit.
Okay. You got it. 30.
I'm debating. I'm debating if I should pick Metroid or yeah, I'm gonna go with Metroid.
Well, when he says Metroid, he means Samus Aran.
Same as yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Samus.
that name drop.
Ooh, yeah.
Because the name of the
Not
game
the
Metroid referred to something else. Didn't Metroid refer to the
The
little guys?
The little guys. Yeah.
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 Oh, these questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to go with Handsome Jack just because it is in my favorite game. I wanted to go with the Joker from the Batman series.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because there's so much nostalgia there because Mark Hamill did the voice for the animated series, so I grew up with that Joker voice, and just the way they portrayed him, oh my gosh, and how they used him in the latest title. it's like a tie between Handsome Jack and the Joker.
Oh,
Honestly,
that's it.
so well written and
That's
well
good.
acted. Man, oh my goodness, it's the only reason the prequel is worth playing is because it's for Handsome Jack.
Yeah, but see,
honestly.
Samus didn't have to have any lines.
Yeah, it's hard because you go favorite character. Like, and again, I'd break it into old gen, new gen. I
You
don't even
know,
know
I
who I
know.
would pick for old gen. Honestly, it would be so difficult because character-driven games back then,
See,
they were.
Kadix has already got his names down on paper.
Yeah, he's ready to rock. I
yeah.
mean, I can't think of old gen games like who I would pick because it's just like I don't even know. There were so many games I played. I wouldn't pick Mario. I would probably pick like I can't. I don't know. I can't. Go Cade.
His brains are gonna explode. He's like, I can't do it.
Too many characters.
I kind of need to change my answer here to Sam Fisher of Splinter Cell.
Nico Bellic.
He's got that voice that just scares the hell out of you.
Mine was really conflicted when I made this list. I actually made a list of like 20 characters, and I literally had to go through it.
And you asked us on
but
the spot. I got you.
Yeah, I made a list because I'm gangster like that.
He's debating
But,
between 20 characters, and you want us to say it on the spot. I got it.
Yeah, exactly. This is on the spot, the loading screen. Come on now. But my favorite character of all time that I feel that had the depth but still has the mystery was Lana's pick of Handsome Jack. I'm very new to the Borderlands series, so I don't know all the canon that there is for Borderlands. But what canon I do know always makes me want to know more. And that's a character that I can really relate to and kind of dive into, but still at the same time, I can know everything and still not enough. So I think Handsome Jack is my clear winner for this. Slightly behind Tiny Tina because she's completely badass.
See, I forgot about her too, man. She's got some great lines.
Mm-hmm. Reaper, you need to change yours to Sam Fisher. Okay. Last question: what motivates you?
What motivates me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm a pretty positive person. Life itself motivates me. My kid, that I have a kid. I have a 1-year-old. Seeing him every day, like learning stuff, that motivates me to be less lazy and just I don't know. There's different people, different things that motivate me throughout the day. It's not one thing that motivates me. That's harder than the question for the character. Yeah, just living, man. Just that motivates me. Just being nice to everyone all day. Being just a kind, decent person, decent human being motivates me. Yeah, that's about it.
Lana?
Man, that's like
Yes, right. That's so hard, and I get
like
to
a
go first.
heavy-
I want to be in the
heavy sort
bottom.
of
I want to be in the bottom right corner.
yeah, like a deep question. I mean, I think because of my line of work and just how I'm wired and growing up as like a class clown, like even being a class clown, you're kind of creating, right? You're creating comedy, you're creating something. I have to create. I need to be taking desperate elements and bringing order to chaos, bringing things together. So with Twitch, it's like there's all these different gamers all over the world, and they come together and they talk and they hang out and they have a good time. It's still mind blowing that it's even happening. Like I sit down and like as your expectations shift, you're like, well, now my expectation is to have so many viewers and so many people in chat within this small window of time, and I need to remember that 6 or 7 months ago I had 5 people on it, 5 or 10 people on a good day, but that's what I love. Like seeing that trajectory is creation to me. Like that's a community that has sort of come from nothing. Like everybody was all out here, and now there's just been this order brought to the chaos of like nobody in this podcast would be talking to each other right now if not for starting my stream however many months ago. I'm not taking credit, but like that's just the coolness of creating something. Like you take everything and you just kind of let it grow and flourish. And that's why I like graphic design. That's why I like creating YouTube videos and talking to people about games, because you get to sort of I think creation, and I talked about this before, why trolls are probably such miserable people. The act of creating something in Twitch streaming and YouTubing, you're basically taking yourself and your thoughts and your ideas and you're putting them out there. Like, you're not hiding, hidden, and that being that shy kid in the back of the room that's scared to raise his hand. You are exposing yourself, the intimate parts of you, your opinions, your thoughts, your passion. And people, that's creation, which the antithesis then is destruction. And I think people that are destructive with trolling and with harassment, I think that they're miserable in that what's inside they think is ugly and not worth sharing, and so they do the exact opposite, and they hide and they cower, and they're behind this black screen of anonymity, and they attack people. And so I think that's what's so great about getting to stream and just sort of be in front of people, is that I just get to live sort of transparently. People see me get mad and frustrated, and they get to see sort of the full spectrum of me, and they get to see my daughter. I bring her down. Soon I'll be bringing down, Stinks, or somebody nicknamed him Chunk Got a Gun because he's so big. And that to me is like, it's just, that's touching in a way, because like I have all these people tethered to me personally and intimately, like my wife and my family, and the fact that I get to sort of share that with other people, I don't know, that's just really cool. That motivates me, getting to have that connection, and that I get to just do what I love and talk about what I love. I mean, if I were to get to do this professionally, I would wake up every day sort of just hoping it wasn't a dream, that I wasn't going to wake up and one day be like, oh wait, I'm actually just, I do this for a living instead. Like I would hope that this is actually happening. So that's a big question, and that's hopefully a sufficient answer.
Better answer than mine.
Damn.
All right, Reaper.
Lano for president.
Yeah.
Vote now. Motivates me for, well, a few things. Want to connect to to whoever I can, to be that one cool guy when someone's like having a bad day or something. They could just hop on over to my stream and I'll cheer them up right quick and help them out. It's
Okay.
really all there is to it.
My motivation stems from my past. A lot of you know, especially in the channel, and I believe all of you know, I am a military veteran. 4 years ago, I was in service. I'm medically discharged now. And I do deal with a lot of the side effects of being in combat. PTSD, depression, things like that. And I've even told one of this a few months ago that, being in his stream early in the morning gives me that routine, and it also makes me feel a lot better because I'm helping contribute to something besides myself. I'm not doing anything selfish. I'm, donating my time in order to do something for other people. And that kind of keeps me going. I do that in my Twitch stream too. For the last 2 months, my Twitch stream has been a charity stream, every single one. I donate all my money out because I don't need it, and other people would like that money besides me. And I think I have to stay positive for people, and it kind of makes me check myself because it makes me become that positive person that I want to be.
Exactly.
So that's what motivates me. So I believe that would be the end of the podcast. If you guys want to do a little station identification, feel free.
I'm 30 and still gaming. You're watching this podcast hosted on my channel tonight. I stream every night, Monday through Saturday, from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. I stream Destiny. I stream other games that come out. I'll be streaming Fallout. I'll be streaming Star Wars, just like everyone else on Twitch. Also, I do a show. There's a logo right next to me. It's called Generation X Gaming. It's on Thursdays. It's at 8 p.m. Come on out. Hit the follow button. I'm also doing a competition, or not a competition, a giveaway. If you guys want to win these Funko Pops Star Wars figurines, all you got to do is follow me either on Twitch, YouTube, or Twitter. And for each one that you follow me on, it's one entry in each thing. So if you want to win one of those guys, I'll be giving them away during the week of Battlefront.
Awesome.
Yeah, before I do my station identification, I would say everybody watching, follow these guys, follow Cadex, Reaper, and 30 and Still Gaming on Twitch. Also look them up on Twitter and just try to make a habit out of, if you're an active, community member on Twitch, support streamers by tweeting and saying, "Hey, I'm watching so and so," and put, so if you're going to watch 30 or Reaper or Cade or myself, that's a great way to help us, because that's going to, it can kind of get some other people, even if you've only got a couple of friends, they might be like, "Oh, cool," and come check it out. Facebook as well. So be sure to look them all up on Twitter, because I think that'd be another great way to get support for them. It's easy to find me, Say No to Rage, if you Google it, or just go to twitch.tv/Say No to Rage, or on Twitter @Say No to Rage. The best way to find me. Anytime I've been a guest on 30s, or even tonight with doing this thing for Cade. This is going to start being on Cadex's channel once OBS stops being a punk. Anytime I'm on it, I retweet and let people know. So if you're a follower of mine, this is how you probably found this podcast. But again, I just want to stress that. Follow these guys on Twitter, and then let people know when you're watching them. That's a great, great thing to do.
All right, Reaper.
Thank you for that awesomeness, Lano. It was actually really great for you to come on here with us. It's actually my first ever podcast. I'm Reaper X357, and you guys can just call me Reaper or whatever, I stream 12 hours a day, usually, starting from about 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Sometimes I'll go over into, 13 or 14 hours. I just enjoy it. Yeah, actually, real quick here, I actually got my inspiration from Lano here, from watching his stream, and kind of got me into streaming myself.
Awesome.
I share that story with Reaper because, honestly, I started streaming 2 days after I saw Say No to Rage. He might not know that. I don't know. I think he does.
I did not know that. No, I didn't.
I started streaming from my PS4 2 days after I saw you. Big inspiration. I love the way you present everything. But I am kadexgaming. I Twitch stream daily. Yesterday I did not stream. I had a few things I needed to take care of. I believe everybody here knows, what those were. But I am a Twitch streamer daily. I do daily charity streams. I don't ask for donations. I just ask for people to, stop in 5 minutes, just say hi. If you have other things to do, that's completely fine. I love talking to people, and I just love being a part of the community that we've built here. And I have a lot of fun with it each and every day. And I wouldn't be on Twitch if I didn't. So I believe we will wrap this up. I think 30 and Still Gaming, Lana Got a Gun, and Reaper X357 for coming into the initial loading screen podcast.
My pleasure.
I know I threw some hard questions at you guys, but you guys handled the ball pretty well. And yeah.
When you come on my show, no.
Yeah, he's gonna start asking me my dress size.
Right.
What's your worst childhood memory?
This. But yes, thank you guys all. Thank you guys in the chat for coming out. You guys were buzzing all stream long. I was watching. So I appreciate you guys all coming out. If you can, please follow 30. Please follow Lano. Most of you guys are already following Lano. And please follow Reaper as well. Like they said, this podcast will be on my channel next week. I'll have kind of a rotating door of guests, so we'll see what we have next week. But I appreciate you guys all coming out, and I hope you have